back. Chances are you've received in the mail some important tax information, some paperwork in the last few days. That means you're closer to being ready to think about preparing your 2015 tax returns. CPA Joey Musmar joins us now. He's with the firm Miller Musmar, and he's here to answer your tax questions. Let's open up the phone lines right away. The last time Joey was here, and Joey, you remember this, we were able to take a number of calls. Let's do it again. Waste no time, please. If you have a tax question, you've got someone here who will give it his best shot. This is what he does for a living. 703-387-1020. That's our number here. So if you're watching in the 11 a.m. hour, that's when we're live. That's when we can take calls. If you want to talk taxes with CPA Joey Musmar, the number to dial is 703-387-1020. We'll go to the phones, your calls, as your questions and comments come in. Welcome. Good to have you. Thanks for your time.
My pleasure.
I referenced paperwork, stuff coming in the mail. Tell us what makes this an important time.
Well, January 31st is the deadline when W-2s are supposed to be delivered, and that's when you want to have individuals gather their tax information, put together their W-2s, 1099s, and this day and age, a lot of people even receive it electronically, so typically this week is when everybody starts filling out their tax returns. And what we wanted to do, Bruce, is basically cover some topics for individuals to hopefully help them make their tax filing a little bit easier and make them aware of a couple of things that some people don't necessarily claim as a deduction that they can claim so they can lower their taxes.
Lower their tax burden as much as legally possible.
Exactly.
And of course, people vary. Some people want to do it, get it over with, get it filed, and not have to think about it again. Others are more the procrastinator type. Whatever your particular style is, the fact that you've got papers coming in the mail, at least whatever your system is, if it's a folder or whatever, keep track of this paperwork because you're going to need it independent of when you do your taxes.
Exactly. I mean, gathering data is the first part of doing anything, and then the next step would be to go through and file your taxes. We do have individuals that, for one reason or another, they don't want to file their taxes. So if you think you're going to owe money to Uncle Sam and you're really concerned about filing your tax return, please remember filing your tax return has to happen by April 15th, or actually April 18th this year. And the objective, if you owe money, is actually to still file your tax return because you'll avoid what's known as a late filing penalty. And therefore, you file your tax return. You can also do a payment plan with the IRS. And Bruce, it's about 2% interest or even less. So it's not that high to have Uncle Sam sort of fund your installment payment plan to settle your taxes.
So if you crunch the numbers and you owe, and you're thinking, wait a second, I don't have this kind of money now, that's not a reason not to file, is what I hear you saying.
And what's known as installment payment plan can go into effect, and it's pretty straightforward process, really. It's a form called 9465, and if you're not form specific, you can just call the IRS and say, hey, I'd like to make a payment plan, and they'll set you up pretty quickly.
That's one of those situations, I presume, where you need to talk with an individual. You call in, you connect with someone, and that process can then begin. We're going to go to the phones in a moment. Al Henderson, stand by. I'm going to take your call first. If you didn't fund some of the retirement options that are available to folks in the calendar year, to what extent do those opportunities remain available as we're into the new year? I mean, can you still influence your 2015?
You can. It depends. So if you have an individual tax return and you have a 401k plan, that train has left, because you have to do it through your W-2. But if you're self-employed or don't have a retirement plan, you still have the ability to fund an IRA until April 18th, 2016. And if you're self-employed, you actually, Bruce, have until October 15, 2016 to still fund it and claim it for last year.
Phone lines open as we talk with CPA Joey Musmar of Miller Musmar. If you have a tax question, join the conversation here at 703-387-1020. To line 1, and Al Henderson, you're on the air. Go right ahead, please.
Hi, good morning, everybody.
Hi.
I'm calling because I work in Virginia, but I live in Maryland. But Virginia taxes, state taxes, were deducted from my paychecks.
Yes.
So I wanted to know, how will I file? Because I lived in Maryland for the entire year of 2015.
Okay, so number one, I want you to fix something with your employer. You're only supposed to be paying taxes in Maryland because there's something called reciprocity between the states. But so what you're going to be doing is filing, unfortunately, 2 tax returns, a Virginia non-resident return, so you can get your Virginia taxes back, and then you're going to be filing a Maryland resident return, and you're going to be getting the deduction on that. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes sense.
Okay, and then change your withholding from your employer so you're only subject to the state that you reside in, which is Maryland, because you can work in Maryland, Virginia, D.C., Pennsylvania, and West Virginia and still only be subject to Maryland withholding.
Okay, because
Okay.
they mentioned that it was something about a Maryland state account, but I'm glad that you cleared that up.
Oh, my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. And we'll be going back to the phones. Henry, sit tight. We'll be taking your call and doing our best to answer your question in the moments that follow. If it's after the break, Henry, do stay on the line. When you get your tax information and you do your taxes, if it's off by a lot, in other words, big refund or big
Taxes owed.
Taxes owed. Is this an opportunity to think about how you the deduction settings?
Exactly, Bruce. So if you got a W-2 and you get a big tax refund, what you really done in essence is gave Uncle Sam an interest-free loan. And what we recommend is, again, with the W-4, to change the exemptions. So this is a perfect time to tweak those exemptions. Some clients actually still prefer getting a big refund because otherwise they were going to spend the money. But typically, if you want to fix it, the best thing to do is to adjust the exemptions. And there's a worksheet behind the W-4 that can be completed that allows people to really adjust it and fine-tune it.
And this might be the best time to do it because you're thinking about it. It's on paper.
And it's the beginning of the year.
Fresh of mind. Oh, and it's
exactly. You got 12
so
months.
it has the most impact in terms of. It's not like you're doing it with 6 months or only 3 months left in the year.
Yep.
And the catch-up opportunity, so to speak, is that much diminished.
Yep.
When we come back, we're going to take Henry's call, and I want to talk with you and have you lead us through some of the missed deductions, things that are there for people to take, but they, for whatever reason, don't always make do it, and so, in essence, they're overpaying Uncle Sam. Joey, stand by for a moment. We'll continue to talk taxes with Joey Musmar on air and online. Of course, News Talk video available 24/7 on our blog, news8newstalk.com.